presentation by Mr. Boysen from concerning the Santa Rita sewer plant update.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. It's been 3 months since I've been in front of you to give you an update on the Santa Rita water reclamation facility. So if you can afford me about 20 minutes, I'll go as quickly as I can. There's a lot of information and a lot of photographs that I'd like to share with you. So first we have an aerial that was captured a few days ago by the PIO team. This is the March 2017 aerial, and then we go to the September 20th the September 2018 aerial, and this is the one that just happened a few days ago. So you can see it was pretty quick, but you can see how much construction we have done over the last year and a half. I'm just going to let you look at this because I've got still photographs of almost everything that's on the presentation here. This is the stone veneer that we're going to use throughout the project as part of the architectural treatment. And then this is the backfilling of the Headworks Building, the last building that we're working on this year. The two domes over the primary clarifier, and this is the Dewatering Building. This is before it started snowing. The Dewatering Building is to the right, and the Digestive Support Building is to the left. This is a good view of the Aeration Basin on the right and the new final clarifiers that took the place of the old aeration basins. So quickly, what I'd like to do is go through the construction progress. We've had a number of progress on every one of the buildings, and there's 9 processes. So I'll try to go through the actual process in the order so it's a little bit easier for me to explain. Then I'd like to review the financial status and then the schedule update.
Can I help you get that to a full screen? Oh, never mind.
But before I do that, what I'd like to tell everyone is that the Santa Rita Water Reclamation Facility received an honorable mention from the EPA for excellence and innovation in clean water infrastructure. So the EPA's performance and innovation in state revolving fund, that's where we've gotten our financing for this project. Creating environmental success, which is acronym PISCES program, celebrates excellence innovation demonstrated by clean water SRF programs and assistant recipients. So we have received honorable mention from EPA in the 2018 PISCES program. And I'd like to read a quote from the Water Assistant Administrator of EPA, David Ross, where he says, "The Clean Water State Revolving Fund plays an integral role in advancing the President's infrastructure agenda, providing communities with low-interest loans so that they can modernize aging infrastructure, create local jobs, and better protect public health and environment." He goes on to say that the scale and complexity of the 2018 PISCES recognized projects represent the determination, coordination, and creativity our partners put forth to achieve their water quality goals. So quite a little honor for, little town of Durango. Eric Worker with CDPHE in the state is our loan officer, and he's the one that submitted this for us. I was not aware that he did, but there were a total of 5 exceptional awards, and then we were number 6 on the list. I'm sure we were better than the other 9 that were 10 honorable mentions. But again, out of 30 projects, we were honorable mentions. So I think that's a real honor for the city of Durango. So into the actual construction, again, there's 9 processes. The first 2 slides are a little bit out of order in the process, but these 2 processes have been complete since mid-May of 2018. And the first one is the Chemical Building. So the photograph to the upper left is our 3 high-speed turbine blowers that compresses and provides air to our aeration basin. The center photograph is a north elevation of the building, again, that shows the rock veneer around the windows that we're going to carry throughout the project. The upper right photograph shows the alum tanks that provide a settlement chemical that we use in the process. And then I wanted to show the lower right photograph of all the electricity. That's our MCC unit to run those microturbines. So that's the electrical power requirements that we're using to compress that air. Pretty high-powered requirement. These are our aeration basins. Again, they've been complete since May. You can see the air bubbling up in the basins that allows the biological process on the primary effluent as it comes into the plant. This is our main process to break down the sewage into clean water. I went ahead and took a photograph of the corbel column that's on the aeration basin to show the stone veneer on those columns, again trying to give you an example of what we're going to look at the completion of the project. It also has the wrought iron fence along the top. That fencing will be around the entire campus. So I think it'll be a nice looking campus when we're done. So getting into the actual process, this is our Headworks Building. It's the last building that's coming out of the ground. We have not run into any problems with the excavation, large boulders, or any kind of natural obstructions. So we've been very lucky on the excavation on this site. We poured our last wall for the foundation of the Headworks Building today, and we'll get a couple of the floor slabs done next week. The photographs on the right just show how much reinforcing steel we have in these buildings and foundations, and how intricate the actual construction is. So from the Headworks Building, the primary effluent flows into the primary sludge or primary clarifiers. These 2 clarifiers were in existence with the old plant, but what we've done is we've put domes on both of them in order to capture the gas that comes off of that primary effluent. In the upper right-hand photograph, you can see the 2 domes in place, and then the slab is to the lower right, and that's where the odor control equipment is going to set. The lower middle photograph shows the ductwork for the air that's coming out of the domes that will be the direction that the air will go to the odor control. So in the upper right-hand corner photograph, you can see the building in between the 2 domes. That's our raw sludge pumping stations. And as we take the solid material that settles out in the clarifier or floats to the top, we use that the RSPS building to pump that sludge over to the digester. So the lower right-hand corner photograph is the 3 pumps that we use to pump that sludge. 2 of those pumps are new, and then the 3rd one was repurposed from the original project. So we pump that sludge over to the digester support building and the anaerobic digester 2. We have an existing anaerobic digester that is currently in use, and this new digester number 2 is a mirror image of it. The digester takes all of the sludge material, all the solids that come out of the primary effluent, and it puts it in this tank, and it goes through another biological process, and it creates methane gas. So the digester support building basically treats this gas so that we can use it in the process. The 2 steel tanks in front of the center photograph remove the H2S out of the gas. The skid in the lower left-hand corner removes siloxane and compresses the gas. And we send that over to the treatment complex into our microturbines. I included a photograph in the upper left-hand corner of the 2 fog tanks. So you just passed a new fog ordinance recently where we collect fog, which is fat, oil, and grease from the restaurants in town. We bring it to the wastewater plant. We store it in those 2 tanks, and then we slowly introduce that into the digester process, which creates more natural gas for us to burn. As part of the digester process, we need to pump and circulate a lot of warm water to increase the biological process. So I included a photograph in the lower right-hand corner of one of our heat exchangers. There's 3 brand new heat exchangers in that building, and it requires 8 new pumps and motors. So pretty involved basement in this building. Not our most involved, but it's certainly got a lot of equipment in it. So the gas that we just created in the digester process, we send over to the microturbines. The upper left-hand corner is a photograph of the 3 microturbines. 2 are new as part of this project, and the 3rd one was repurposed again. So we pump the gas over, we burn it in these microturbines. It creates heat, hot water, and it also creates electricity. The hot water is sent over to a boiler where we increase the temperature, and then we send it back into the process. So this is all kind of a recirculating process that we get the most bang for our buck out of all the natural gas that we create. Again, the main purpose of the wastewater treatment plant is to separate the solids from the liquid or the water, and the photograph on the lower left of this screen shows one of the RDTs. This is a rotating drum thickener. It is kind of what it sounds like. It's a drum with a screen on the inside that rotates, and we put the liquid on top. The liquid falls through, and the solids remain on the screen. Again, we pump that back to the digester to make more gas. So the process is just a repetition as each part of the process. We're trying to get the solids out, get it into the digester, and make more gas. The other 2 photographs show some of the pumps that are in the basement of the treatment complex. These are all new pumps and motors. We've got 19 new pumps. The gold, or the lower right-hand photograph, is the recirculating water pumps that take water out of the microturbines, pump it into the boiler, and then over to the digester. So through the process, the liquid goes through the aeration basin, and then it comes into the final clarifier. Again, the clarifier takes the solids out by settling or by floating. Again, this sludge is taken off of these clarifiers, put back in the digester, all the same story again. The final clarifiers were where the old aeration basins were. If you remember that from my last meeting, we demolished those in order to build these 2 final clarifiers. These clarifiers just passed their commissioning for their equipment. They'll be online probably in mid-February. And then we can take the existing clarifiers on the opposite side of the building offline and put new equipment and refurbish the tanks. So we've got, in addition to the blower chemical building, the aeration basin will have 2 brand new clarifiers working by this time next month. So from the digester, there is liquid sludge that comes off of that process. What we currently do is we put it in a tanker and we haul it up to farms around Durango, and we dry land apply that liquid. What we decided to do is try to dewater that liquid and take the solids to the Bondad landfill. That's much more economical for us, and it's much better for the environment also. So this building is being built for the dewatering process. We take the sludge from the digester after it's gone through its biological process, and we run it through, these are rotating screen presses. The blue equipment in the upper right-hand photograph is processed, again, to remove the liquid from the solids. The liquid falls back into the process. We pump it over to the aeration basin for retreatment, but the solids drop out of the gray area, out of this. They drop into a screw conveyor. We convey it up to the top of this mezzanine in the center photograph, and it drops into a trailer pulled by a truck that we've just recently purchased. So it takes about a week for that trailer to fill up, and then we use one of our staff members to drive it over to Bondad. Bondad uses that as soil augmentation as part of their landfill process. So again, we're, rather than just spreading the liquid on top of the soil, we're actually augmenting something at the waste or the landfill. The final process after the liquid goes through the final clarifiers is for disinfection. I took a photograph of the existing building, which is the center photograph, and the existing UV building is on the right-hand side. That building was built, I believe, in the late 90s, early 2000. Technology has drastically increased over the last 18 years, so we have decided to do a new UV disinfection system, and we are using the old contact chambers that we used to disinfect with chlorine. We no longer use chlorine for all kinds of reasons, so these contact chambers were really never used in the last 18 years. So what we decided to do is go ahead and use those contacts. It's basically a baffle where the water kind of serpentines in and out, and we're going to lower our UV bulbs into those chambers in order to do the disinfection. The photograph on the upper right-hand side shows the area. We put a blanket over to keep the snow out, but it shows the area of this new UV building, and you can look at the size of that compared to the existing building, and it's obvious that we're going to double our disinfection process, and it'll just be a better product in the long run. From this UV disinfection building, the water flows out into the Animas River much cleaner than it does currently. So that's an update of the actual construction that's going on. I'd like to answer any questions that you may have now before we get into the finance and the schedule.
I don't see anyone.
Great. So the original budget for the project was just shy of $60 million. The original construction contract amount with Archer Western was $54 million. This left $5.2 million for contingency. When we started the project, it was 9.6% of the contract amount, which is pretty good for a construction project of this size. It's pretty much an industry standard to be between 8 and 10%, so we were really good from the start. So far, the project expenses, so the testing, the other field verifications, those kind of contracts, plus the change orders have amounted to $2.6 million. As of today, the remaining project contingency is about $2.6 million, or 50% of the original contingency. So we're about 80%, and I'll get into that, through the project, and we still have 50% of our contingency left. So financially, we're doing fairly well from that standpoint. So regarding the change orders, there's been a total of 38 construction change orders to the contract that have amounted to about $2 million. Of those 38 change orders, 28 have been at the request of the city of Durango. So these are things that were not included in the original contract document, design, construction bid. And a few examples, and there's 28 of them, I guess, is the Bodo 2 sanitary sewer lift station. We decided early on in the project that if we could rebuild that aging infrastructure, that the initial construction cost would pay for itself over the 20-year maintenance on that old lift station. So we went ahead and included that in the project. That alone is over $500,000 of our contingencies so far. So that was a very big hit to the money that we had in reserve. Also, we needed a new IT server room. The administration building was removed from the original construction project, and that included the IT room with the equipment. So we had to add that to the project. That was a request at the city of Durango to do that. Archer Western was more than happy to do it. Also, we needed additional IT security and building security. And then we decided to paint the chamber building. If we're going to be in the chamber building in place of the new administration building for the next 2 or 3 years, that building is in a little disrepair. We felt that if we could paint it, it would last a little bit longer for us. So we added that to the contract. And then as we're going along, and I see fit that we have enough contingency, there is a number of old pumps, valves, piping, motors that are, again, 35 years old. They were built as part of the original construction. And I just felt that we want the project to be as new and as serviceable as possible. So as the project has gone along, I have asked for some of this old aged equipment to be replaced. Of the additional change order cost, the city has requested modifications that amount to $1.4 million, which is about 71% of the current $2 million in change orders. So most of the money that we spent out of that contingency has been at the request of the city of Durango. It's not something that was missed in the design or problems that we've run into construction. So getting into the schedule, that plays into the schedule a little bit. So the original contract completion date was May 15th of 2019. Because we've asked for so many change orders, the contractor has added 37 days to the contract. For him to do all of the work that we've requested, he needed some additional time. So we've agreed to 37 additional days. So the completion date is now June 21st, 2019, which if you look at a 2-year project, it's only 5% of the original contract amount. So again, that seems very reasonable to us. Included in the change orders, including the change orders, the current contract amount is now $56 million. Remember, it started out at 54. We've got about $2 million in change orders, so we're up to $56 million. There have been 20 payments to Archer Western that totaled $46 million. We verified that everything that they submitted payment for has actually been constructed. So if you take the 56 million divided into the 46, the project, according to the financial status, it's 82% complete. So looking at it a little differently, the original contract start date was May 15th of 2017. As of tonight, we've used 610 days of that contract, which is 767 days. If you do that math from a scheduling standpoint, it looks like we're about 80% complete. So that's just a verification between the financial status and the schedule status that we're right around 80%. We have 50% of our contingency left over. Depending on how this winter is going to go, I think we're going to meet our completion date within reason. So all in all, I think we're doing really well. And I'd be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions?
Sounds great. Was there an interim, was there a milestone that we had to complete for compliance in 2018 that we met?
Yes, sir. The milestone was the completion of the blower building and the aeration basin.
Yeah.
And that was to increase our treatment of the primary effluent. And we met that, by the way.
Yeah, and that was the single purpose why we were mandated to create this expenditure of taxpayer dollars on this event. But the other thing, just driving by the other day, the most important question on most people's minds is about, that $5 million line item for odor control, which you addressed, and we see those fans coming out of the top of those fancy new domes, the Clarifier domes, and so that's good to hear that what they hook into and will further reduce the odor out of those clarifiers is the biggest smelly part of the thing.
Correct.
Are not yet installed.
The fans and the pipes and the domes are in place. The activated carbon is supposed to be here in 2 to 3 weeks.
That's good news.
And those are just kind of plug and play. They're big vats of this carbon. They set on that concrete slab and we blow the air through it. So I would say by mid-February those will be up and operational.
Going to be a beautiful spring. Awesome.
It'll smell better.
Have we finally gotten the CDPH&E permit, or are they still behind administratively?
We have not received the permit yet, so we're still
But that's
working
not because we haven't finished the job.
That's correct.
It's because
That's correct.
they're processing. But I think also it's probably possibly between the lines an acknowledgement that we're ahead of the game. It's just a matter of administrative processing on their part.
Yes, sir. I would venture to say that if we weren't doing anything, we'd be hearing a lot from the state. But since we are on schedule and under budget. I believe that they are not processing that permit.
You say under budget?
Correct.
Because
We still have
contingency left.
contingency.
Okay, great. I just want to suggest this is just impressive contract management and project management, I guess you would call it. And I'm wondering if you think, if you know, or if you're concerned about anything that might get in the way of on time, on budget over the next couple of months for your completion. Anything come to mind that is a risk?
Well, thanks for the compliment, but I think a lot of it has to do with a good contractor, a good design, good team that's working out there. So, but I appreciate it. I don't. Again, my biggest concern was getting out of the ground. We've got all the buildings out of the ground. I thought we would find, the mother of all boulders, and we'd have to,
Yeah.
blast it or whatever, and we didn't find any of that. So I feel fairly confident that we're 80% done with the project. I don't see any major holdups or expensive items that might jeopardize the completion or the cost of the project.
And you're all inside now, you're covered, correct? So winter won't impact for the most part.
We're still coming out of the ground for the Headworks Building, so that's going to be a little problematic. We haven't got the roof on the Dewatering Building yet. So that's, again, supposed to occur in the next couple of weeks. Weather dependent. We've shoveled a lot of snow in the last couple of weeks, but yeah.
Great update. Thank you so much.
Mr. Boysen, I'm going to ask a favor. If you could come back at the April 16th meeting and do a update, that will be Councilor White's and my last city council meeting.
I'd be glad to.
And also in the future, I'm sure the city council would love to have a walkthrough once that building is really available. That'd be a treat.
And possibly some ex-city councilors.
Yes.
Everyone's welcome. It's pretty muddy out there now.
Oh, not now.
By that time, it should be dried out, and perhaps some landscaping
In the
and sidewalks
spring.
will be installed by then. So.
I'm just so happy about this project. Three of us worked very hard and really appreciated that. The voters saw the wisdom of this the project, and it's a spectacular project for the city of Durango. So thank you so much for coming.